Hello and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight we are joined by Tiffany Ryan. Welcome. I know, right? Everybody laughs for that. I love my sound machines in here. I'm telling you.
I feel
Um,
so special and welcome. Yes,
well, awesome. I have a few other things. We have. Let's see.
I love it.
Let's see this. Yeah, there's the big applause, and then of course
That's awesome.
I have. Oh, thank you. I have lots on that one. Then I have another soundboard that we can get a little. Oh wait. Nope. I turned the mic off for that one. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Talk about being unprepared. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, that's the Mac Daddy right there.
Yeah, right. So how are you this evening, Tiffany?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Uh it's a little cooler today, but yesterday was superb. Yesterday was freaking awesome. I had some pool time. It was blissfully beautiful outside. Now they say today I think is the first day of summer, but I don't know. I'm finding it hard to believe. Or was that yesterday?
That was yesterday.
Was it yesterday? Well, yesterday was the perfect day for it. Today it's like, nope, you got one day of summer, girl. It's over now.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of rain, so
Yeah, that's what we've got coming this week. Lots of rain. I'm not happy. Um, and I walk to get my steps in each day, and I'm just not. I don't know. I was not feeling it today.
me
Colder. I have a
too.
long sleeve shirt on. Yeah, I'm telling
Me
you.
too. I walk every day, but I haven't been able to because of all the rain. And
Oh, I know, right? What do you do when you don't have a chance to walk? I got a stationary bike. My treadmill's broken because that's in the garage, but it's broken. I have an elliptical, but it just doesn't feel the same. I like to put the books on my earbuds and listen to a story, and I'm walking,
I
and
think
it just.
if I can't walk, I just pour myself an extra glass of wine.
Oh well, hey, I'm on that tonight. We have our own. I have Moscato right in front of me. We're good to go.
Oh, there you go. Speaking my language now.
Right? I love my Moscato. So, as we, drift off the wine intake, I'd love to start off. I know you walk, and where you're walking is interesting. You're in North Georgia. That's where you reside, yes?
I am, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so tell me what made North Georgia home.
My husband actually was transferred here. We had met in Dallas, Texas, and he was transferred here about, oh, maybe 25 years ago. And are you there?
Yes,
Oh,
I
okay.
am.
Sorry. I couldn't hear anything. But
No,
anyway, he said,
I sometimes mute my mic when I'm sucking down some wine.
girl, I love you. I adore you. Um, That's awesome. No, I stopped hearing something, and I'm like, okay, oh God, please don't tell me my phone hung up. Um,
No, I'm here, but now you just let everybody know what I'm doing. As soon as she's sucking it down, we know what she's doing.
sorry. Oh
No,
gosh.
you're good. You're good.
But
Go ahead.
so no, we moved here about 25 years ago, and we've been up here. I love it because it's not too. It's we're about 45 minutes north of Atlanta, so we're kind of away from the big city, but we also have we can get there relatively easily, and then we have things at our fingertips, and then of course we just go up north about another 30 minutes, and we're in the Appalachian Mountains. We can do hiking, and there's wineries all over the place.
Mm.
Oh yeah, there's a winery
You caught
15 minutes. There's a winery 15 minutes from my house, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is great. I mean, I love it.
you caught my attention at winery.
Yeah, yeah. You had me at wine. I know, and
No.
I'm like, it's almost like if you had like a crumble or a chicken salad chick that's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from your house. I'd be there all the time. Thank God we don't have one, but the winery, I go the winery a lot.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've had a dry house for the last 2 weeks, and I asked my husband, he had to go in for a meeting for his work, and I said, hey, on your way back, could could you possibly grab me some wine? And so he
Oh
did.
yeah,
So
it's a must.
yeah.
It's a must have.
Yeah, well, occasionally, yes. And sometimes, there are days. So before Georgia, where were you located?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry, you probably did mention that, didn't you?
I just in passing. Yeah, that's where I met my
Okay, all
husband.
right. All right, cool beans. Now, if I'm correct, you're a writer. Hello, we know that. But have you always been a writer? What did you do before?
I homeschooled my children. Um, I
Nice.
I homeschooled them and didn't really start writing until about, I guess now about 3 years ago. I started Crazed and Confused. It's kind of funny. It all got started because my I would share, funny things that would happen. Homeschooling your kids. There's a lot of funny things that happen. Being around
Hmm.
your kids a lot, there's a lot of funny things that happen. So I just started kind of, and my son is incredibly funny. He's very sarcastic, very funny, and so I would just start sharing some of these stories on my Facebook page, really not thinking much about it. It's just I thought it was just so funny, and I would just write them, almost like a dialogue. And
Hmm.
I had people reaching out to me and they were like, you really should think about writing a book. This stuff is so funny. And I thought to myself, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if I could write a book. And then about 3 years ago, I thought to myself, why not? Why not give it a shot? So I took a lot of those things that I had written down in the past and I just kind of wove a story around it.
Right. So as we're talking, because we're kind of leading right into, and that is your first book, just so everyone knows in the room, and whoever happens upon this podcast later, the book is called Crazed and Confused. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yeah, so it's Crazed and Confused, a delightfully dysfunctional familial memoir. And it really is, it's told through the eyes of the Jenkins, that's the family, 16-year-old daughter, Addie. And she pretty much just kind of, she humorously chronicles the craziness and frivolity of her family. And, she sheds light on all of the eccentricities of the family.
Hmm.
And so the story kind of weaves around the life of Olivia Jenkins, her mom, and Olivia is a wine loving, sanity seeking, homeschooling mother who's literally on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And her
Hmm.
mother, Grandma Helen, doesn't help with any of that. And Grandma Helen is kind of a self adoring, elderly matriarch of the family, whose wild antics kind of keep Olivia in a perpetual state of stupefaction, if you will. And,
Hmm.
then you have, there's Addie as the kids, and then you have Bo and Ezra, and Bo is the younger brother. Addie's the middle child, and Ezra's the older brother. I'm sorry, Bo is the younger brother. Addie's the middle child. Ezra's the older brother. And so they're really sarcastic and funny. There's a lot of funny scenes with them. You have a sister visiting from out of town. You have Grandpa Anthony's husband, Grandma Helen's husband, who's wanting to get a Harley Davidson at 76 years of age, and then you have a mother-in-law, Nana, who started doing paint by numbers and has started selling them to people as if they were art. So there's a
Your
lot of
character. Go ahead. Go
go ahead.
ahead.
I was just saying there's a lot of different personalities in the book, and then of course you have Greg, Olivia's husband, who is he's really kind of the anchor. He's kind of the down to earth one. He's the one that kind of keeps everything sane, I guess, or Olivia sane, I guess, is what I would have to say.
So with your book seems very developed, especially where you're considering the personalities of your characters. Can you tell me a little bit how you organize that? I mean, big old draft board, sheets upon sheets of papers. Tell me how you orchestrated the development of the characters.
You know what? It's very loosely based on my family, and it's all in my head.
Ah, the jig is up.
Yeah, it's all in my head. I do not, even when I was in high school, I could never write a paper and outline it and do all. It was all in my head. It's just the way I can visualize it, I guess, in my head. And in many ways, if I were to kind of describe it in a way that you might understand how I see when I write a book, it's almost like this is so sad, but like a Candyland bored, and it's kind of like, okay, I
Yes.
finished this chapter, okay, I'm on to this chapter, and I have an idea of what I'm going to write. There's some big scenes that I have throughout the book, and then I kind of write chapters in and around those big scenes.
Hmm. Okay. So, how does the family feel that you use them as your inspiration for the book?
I have to be honest with you, I am blessed. They are so supportive. My
That's
mom,
awesome.
Grandma Helen, is based off of my mom. Now, my mom is not in the theater, community theater. She doesn't do karaoke. She's not, you know, this personality that's kind of, all encompassing. But a lot of Grandma Helen's quirks and personality traits, in some ways, are based off of my mom. And
Hmm.
but she's the first person I send my chapters to after I finish them. And
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, she's the first person I send them to, and she's probably one of my biggest supporters. And she loves the Grandma Helen character. But there's been a few times where she's like, Tiffany, I've never done that, and I'm like, Mom, it's fiction.
Right.
So
Yeah, I get you. Well, even that with your add-ons, do you find that you do character outlines to keep it going as far as how you're adding onto each individual character outside of how your family originated?
not really.
Not really.
It's just kind of it's all in my head. It's the best way I can describe it. It's all kind of in my head.
Oh, you are
I feel
blessed then. You are
just
blessed because go ahead.
I guess I just feel, intimately acquainted with all of them.
Yeah.
They're my baby, they're my babies, and you know, when I think about them, I think deeply and heartily and about them. So it's just all up there. I may put a note. I may put kind of a couple notes here and there so that I don't forget as I write the books.
Right. Hmm.
Certain things, but for the most part, no, I do not write anything down.
I've written a few books myself. And I'll be honest with you, every time I start to build a character, I will highlight it and put it in a file just for character outline so that I keep it in track. And I always keep it on the screen, like, especially if I'm going into a series. So I always have it at my fingertips. But for you to remember every little detail like that, that's extraordinary. So I applaud you for that.
Well, let's hope it stays that way.
I'm sure that it will.
As
So
I get
let me
older.
ask you. No, you'll be fine, I'm sure. Um, Let me ask you what these words mean for you: sarcastic, witty, delightful, delightful of dysfunctional, hilarious. How do these statements all associate for you?
It's the Jenkins family.
Yeah. These all actually come from reviews. I've looked into some reviews of the books. And speaking of that, so how does it feel to you when you hear that as in your reviews?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, I have some of the most amazing readers, and
Hmm.
they are so supportive. And it's really surreal because when I wrote this book, I wrote it. I started it 3 years ago, and I wrote it in between teaching my you know teaching my kids. I would take my breaks, or I would take summer, and I would write. Um, and it's I didn't think anybody would really read it outside of maybe people that I knew. And all of a
Hmm.
sudden, people started reading it and were loving it. And, were writing to me and telling me, hey, I really relate to this story. I love this story. It's funny. You've taken, everyday situations that all families go through, and you've made it funny. And I've just been I'm so thankful for those people who have reached out to me to tell me that because, um, that really keeps me going. It makes me realize that, okay, I've done a good job. I did what I set out to do. We live in such a dark world, and I really just wanted to
Mm,
bring some light and laughter to it. And that's
right.
honestly why I started writing it.
Well, that's an interesting. That kind of breezeways into my next question. Um, like I do, I like to do research. And this is your first book, so I had to dig a little deeper, and I pulled from your profiles and Goodreads to be able
Yeah.
to get what I needed to find out a little bit of the details. So you are someone who reads now. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Anthropological series thrillers, right?
Anthropological thrillers. My degree is in anthropology, and
Oh, okay. Very.
and
So, go ahead.
oh no, and so I love like archaeological thrillers, anthropological thrillers. Things like with forensic anthropology or archaeology, things like that.
That's another. That brings me into another question, just based on what you said. So, you have a degree in anthropology, and I'm going to
Yes.
tongue tied. Some things pull me under, and there it is. Trust me, it's not from one glass of wine. I swear. I swear. It's
I was
just
just gonna say maybe
me.
you need some more.
Probably. I probably could actually pronounce it then. Um, so with that kind of degree, and you stayed home to choose to teach. You didn't go forward in your degree before you started to homeschool.
I didn't because I just didn't. I really didn't want to get my master's or my PhD in it. I loved studying anthropology. It was so incredibly interesting. I was a, I was going to get my degree in advertising, and I took
Hmm.
my first year of advertising courses, and I absolutely abhorred it. I hated it, and
Oh, yeah.
I, I had taken an anthropology course, and I was just so taken by it and I loved it. And so I
Mm.
decided to change my major. My husband and I always joke that we have two useless degrees, a household full of two useless degrees. His is in history, mine is in anthropology. But I will say
Mm.
that having that degree really helped me homeschool my kids. Because,
Right.
when you homeschool, or at least for me, when I homeschooled, I read everything that they read. Because I had to be able to discuss it with them. I had to be able to teach it to them. I had to be able to explain it to them if they didn't understand.
Right.
So I loved all of that. You say you love to research. I like to research as well. And you do a lot of that with a
Mm.
degree in anthropology. So I looked at it almost as like, I would research as much as I could so that I could teach my kids.
Okay. So do you again, as being someone with an anthropology degree, haha, said it, I said
There you go.
it.
Awesome.
Right. And you enjoy the thrillers. Tell me what the drive. I mean, I would assume because you have a degree in it and because you like to read it, I would have assumed that would have been your first book. Tell me why Confused was your first book.
Because I am not smart enough to write a thriller.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you are. Yes, you
Oh
are.
my
You have
gosh,
a
no,
degree. Yes, you
the
are.
whole idea
Yes, you
of that
are.
is overwhelming. But they always say write what you know. And
Hmm.
and yes, I do know that. And I probably, I don't know. People that write thrillers, man, I bow down to them because my brain doesn't go that way. I'm not, I just can't do it. But
Oh,
with
I
the
bet you could.
with the crazed and confused, um, it was what I already knew. And I
Hmm.
took things that I had already been, writing on Facebook and things like that. Because when I write, I usually write dialogue first, and then I write the
Hmm.
story around the dialogue. So, I'm not one of those people that is going to be like, describing how the wind blows through the trees or how the sky looks or things like that. I'm usually much more dialogue driven.
Right.
And so for me, Crazed and Confused, it just, I had so many people telling me, this is hilarious. You need to write a book. And I was just like, let's see if I can do it. Let's see if I can build a story around this.
Right.
And,
I find
God
that
bless,
I,
I
I
was just going
find
to say
that
something else.
interesting. Right. I find that interesting. Basically, let me give you a little intake. I am going to pause my timer though because I got like 1 minute. So let me see if I can't stop it. There we go. Because it is going to buzz because we might go a little over, but that's fine. Because I do have a few more questions if you don't mind
Sure.
hanging in with
Sure,
me.
happy to. I'm
Um,
happy to be here.
awesome. But when you talk about it being your first book, and to be honest with you, I still think you could do an anthropology book. I really do. I think you could do a thriller, and I'll tell you why. Um, just based on my own experience, my very first book. Now, unlike yourself, mine sat on a shelf, and I didn't publish it. I didn't publish it for let's see, maybe it was 2 or 3 books later. I chose to write something else based on a call out, and it's a long story, so I won't drag that on. But um, I chose not to go back to it until later, and I think at first didn't think that you could do. I think the next thing would be to step up a challenge, and I think you have probably the most phenomenal thriller bound up in your, because look how successful already that confused and dazed and confused, sorry, dazed and confused
Crazed,
is. I
crazed
mean,
and confused.
I'm sorry, yes, crazy and confused. I'm going through my notes and I didn't find it that quick, and here I am trying to get it off the top of my head. But just think about that, because the reviews, I mean, you have filled up Goodreads. I mean, crazed and confused is an excellent example of the capabilities you have in you. So I could honestly see an anthropology thriller coming out of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
you are awesome. I love you. I need to start talking to you weekly. Um, I mean, anything's possible. Anything's possible. And I'm going to be completely candid here. God really pushed me to write this book, and I did.
Hmm.
And if He tells me, "Hey, I want you to write this," I will. Um, and it's certainly something I have thought about, but it's so drastically different from what I'm writing now. I mean, I have a lot of the Jenkins still left in me. I'm
Right.
writing the second book right now, and that one's
Okay.
called Jingled and Jangled, The Delightfully Dysfunctional Christmas or Familial Christmas.
Uh huh.
So I'm going to have that one out towards the end of the year.
Well, actually, that takes care of my next question because I was going to
Oh,
ask if
good
if
answer. Take it away.
dazed and
Go.
I was going to ask if Crazed and Confused was going to have another sequel. So yeah, that takes care of that.
Yeah, it's going to be a series. I mean, right now in my mind right now, I have at least 4 books.
Okay, 4 books along in the series.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to keep the series name as
It's going to be the Delightfully Dysfunctional series.
Delightful Dysfunctional Curious. Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure our listeners heard it right from your voice. Um, so 3 or 4 books, yes?
Yes, definitely. At
Okay.
least,
So
at least.
that actually is the next question. What was next? But just to point out something, when you talk about if it's within God's grace that you might be able to go ahead with it. But I find that He sometimes speaks through strangers.
You know what?
And
You are
what's more
100% right.
strange than your local podcast talker saying that you can do it?
You are 100% right. And I will definitely take that into consideration. And maybe, I don't know, maybe with a thriller, I can tell you this much. If I were to do something like that, I would have to do an outline. I would have to have some ideas written down. I don't think I could do that in my head.
Well, I'm telling you what, you are delightful. From what I have read of the book, it's delightful.
Thank you.
Again, to our listeners, the book is Crazed and Confused. It is on Amazon. If you're interested in getting a lot of reviews and insights from other people, I took a chance and went to Goodreads. You can also read the reviews on Amazon. The cover has a delightful bulldog on it, so
That's
I was really
adorable. I
intrigued.
love it.
Yes,
Thank
it's a
you.
very cute book cover. I like it. Um, I want to thank you so much for being on the program tonight, Tiffany. You were a
Thank you
delight.
for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Come back anytime, especially when the new books come up, and especially if you want to do a thriller.
Yeah, no pressure there.
Yeah, no pressure, none whatsoever. But I think
I'd love
you
to
could
come
do
back.
it. I think awesome. I would love to have you. Just in case for everybody that's staying in tune, because I've been doing these and I have found that quite a few people do love hearing this little bit that I add to the podcast on the end of our conversations. Today, Amazon deal. And as many of you know, my husband, who is delightfully inclined to do so many things, is building an apartment for my mother um, on the passing of my father this year.
I'm
So
sorry.
with that, let's. Oh, thank you very much. So let's talk apartment size stuff, okay? I don't know about you guys, but when I'm looking for something, Amazon always seems to point out what I could find. And today's deal is an apartment size fridge. It's an RCA RFR 9004 cubic foot fridge with bottom mount freezer. That bottom mount is an important thing because that's something my mother would love to have. This one's stainless steel. It's 36% off, down from 724.38 down to now $465.67. Don't forget, guys, Prime Days. Catch July 11th to 12th. I'll have the link in the bio as always. Thank you so much, my listeners. Just on Podbean alone, we have now went over. This is just on Podbean, guys. We have went over 1,000 listeners. Okay, 1,000
Woohoo!
listeners over. I know, and that's not counting Amazon and iTunes and all this. Just on here, and that's just for the lives. And so I have to say, every guys, when you come in here, you are boosting it, and I am so very pleased. And we are now over 2K downloads. I think last track was 2.2. And again, those basically just go for Podbean. That's not even counting the other avenues. So I am thrilled. Thank you
Well,
so
that's
very much.
fantastic. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. You guys, thank you for coming in. Until next time, have a good one. Bye bye for now.